Hello, beautiful people. Today is 24th of July. My name is Sahil and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Friends, today we'll see a quote from Samuel Johnson, who's an English poet and an ethical thinker. He says that integrity without knowledge is weak and useless, and knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful. Now, guys, this particular quote makes us realizes the importance of Aristotle's idea of golden mean, where he said that in moderation every value is required and desired. Now, here we can see that integrated without knowledge is of no use, because a person having only the good intention but no knowledge will not be able to bring a substantial change. And at the same time, if a person is having all the knowledge into the world but is not having any integrity or moral obligations or the ethical standards, that he will just be turning a more clever devil. Therefore, as said by the Aristotle, what we need is the golden mean or the moderation of all the values. Now, guys, please remember this particular quote for your GS paper number 4, that is ethics. Now, guys, the main question that I gave you yesterday. So, the question says that the higher education system has witnessed an improvement in terms of the gross enrollment ratio, but fraught with numerous challenges, suggest a reform to achieve the ideals of learning outcomes of higher education. Now, guys, into this particular question, in the first part, the gross enrollment ratio has been talked, which is the major parameter into the primary education. But into the second part, the reform onto the secondary education, higher education has been asked. So friends, what we will be doing here, into the introduction we will be talking as how the gross enrollment ratio has been increased over the years, but into the body you will be giving the suggestion for the higher education. So starting with the introduction, we can say that the education is the most potent enabling force into the life of a human being, which can give him his dignity and a purpose of fulfillment. And in this regard, from the very start, government has taken active steps for improving the gross enrollment ratio of the children into the school, and even fundamental right under Article number 21A, fundamental duty under Article number 51A, subclause K, as well as DPSP under Article number 45 are explicitly talking about the education, and working on all these particular things in sync with the new education policy of 1986, which has been revised in 1992. And after that, other government initiatives such as Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, etc., have improved the gross enrollment ratio. But only the quantum has been focused and the quality has not been focused, and this particular thing is very much evident from the repeated reports by the ASR, which talks about the declining quality into the primary education. And for the universities, we have the QS World University Ranking Report, where in 2020 report it has been said that there are only 3 institutions in top 200, and not even the one institution is there into the top 100. Hence, guys, there is a substantial need that the reforms are needed into the educational setup. So, guys, see, first of all, before going forward, here we have talked about the primary also and the higher also, and even we had given the substantial data. But when we will be talking about the reforms, there you need to be careful that we only need to talk about the higher education. And in this particular regard, 3 types of reforms are needed. First of all, reforms with respect to the governance system are needed to be made, so that Indian universities are not over regulated. Then, guys, the reforms related to the autonomy are needed to be given, so that the functional autonomy as well autonomy with respect to the human resource, teacher, staff, etc., can be given. And third, the reform related to the curriculum also needed to be made, so that the syllabus setting is in sync with the industry standards and the emerging requirement by the disruptive phenomena such as the fourth industrial revolution, internet of things, as well as the artificial intelligence. Moreover, guys, into the coming era, it has been said that into the post pandemic world, the skill set will be prevailing, and therefore these reforms are needed at the immediate level. Now, guys, within these reforms, you can talk about anything which you want, but your periphery will be this. So, guys, that's it. And now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now guys, starting up, so first we'll take the overview of the entire newspaper first. So guys, this particular news pertains to the political drama that is going on in Rajasthan between the Sachin pilot and the Rajasthan government of Congress. Guys, on 21st of July itself, we had seen all the important and relevant matters related to the disqualification, anti-defection law, Kihoto Holohan. However, day-to-day development and ball-by-ball entry is not required for the UPSC exam. Then guys, here the women officers have been given the permanent commission, so very important article. We'll be seeing what has happened here. Now guys, here just a very small news item, we can see that government has banned the bidders from the neighboring countries for the government procurement project. However, nothing substantial other thing has happened here. Now guys, moving forward, so we can see into the city section only the riots, regional problem, clashes, etc. news has been given, not important for our exam. Now guys, here the issue of the Bru refugee tribes has been mentioned, so we'll see that what exactly thing has been given. Then guys, moving forward onto the regional page, also nothing important. Now onto the editorial page, this particular editorial is an excellent article which talks about the foreign policy in India at the present time. We'll be seeing this thing. Now guys, BJP's hegemonic narrative, not important for our UPSC exam. Then guys, national security and Hong Kong issue, will be seeing what has been given. Escalating tensions US China, will be seeing what has happened here. Now then guys, this particular article is a moderated discussion on to the open book examination, and professors from the different universities are telling their experience. Guys, first of all, UPSC relevant material has not been given here. Secondly, I think so many times we had discussed already this open book exam system. However, nothing substantial has came out of this. Then guys, here India South Korea ties will be discussing, and a new dimension will be seeing here. Then guys, moving forward, here you can see no relevant news has been given. Then moving forward, guys. So here India Israel cooperation onto the medical diplomacy has been given. So we'll see how we can use it into the exam. Then guys, moving forward, you can see that no important news has been given. Showcase page not important for our exam. Then guys, moving forward onto the world page, the Mars mission of China has been mentioned, which is important for our exam. However, other conflict related news is not important. Then guys, moving forward onto the business page, apart from the corporate news, one important news has been given with respect to the MSME credit portal. Very good reference, will be seeing this thing. Then guys, onto the sports page, nothing important has been given. So that's it guys, and now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail. Now, guys, starting up. So, first news we can see here where the Defense Ministry has issued a formal order with respect to induction of women officer into the permanent commission in army. Now, guys, before going into this particular news, I would like to give you a background. So, originally, the women were not inducted into the army, and their induction began in 1992 when the Women Special Entry Scheme was started. However, here their term of service was limited up to 5 years, and even there were specific streams where they were allowed, such as education core, core of signal, intelligence core, etc. In a nutshell, they were not allowed for the combat roles, the fighting roles. After that, guys, in 2006, the short service commission was extended to the women, and their induction was now extended to 10 years, which could further be extended up to 14 years. However, still they were not allowed into the combat roles, and therefore their induction into the infantry and armored corps was also not allowed. Now, guys, just see this thing. Into the short service commission, women were allowed. However, short service commission were also allowed to the male. But after the expiry of the short service commission, the male were allowed that they can go for the permanent commission, but women were not allowed to go to the permanent commission after their expiry of the short service commission. So there is a kind of an inequality that the male can convert their short service commission into the permanent commission, but female are not allowed. Even there is one more issue, that is of a pension. So a person becomes eligible for pension if he or she serves for minimum 20 years, but as women's maximum term will be of 14 years, they will not be allowed further to draw the pension also. So again here a kind of an inequality comes. Now, guys, in this particular regard, a petition was made into the High Court, and the Delhi High Court in 2010 gave a favorable order that the permanent commission should be extended to the women. But this particular decision was never implemented and was challenged into the Supreme Court also. And hence in 2020 February, the Supreme Court gave its order and said that women has to be allowed into the permanent commission. And therefore now defense ministry has issued a formal order where they had said that women will be now be getting the permanent commission in army. Now, guys, just keep one thing into your mind that the permanent commission has been extended to the 10 streams in which earlier they were also serving under the short service commission. Still, they have not been allowed for the combat roles. So, guys, that is all about this particular news item, and now we'll move to next. Now, guys, in this particular news item, the resettlement of the Bru refugees have been mentioned. Now, before going into the news item, we'll look a little bit of background. So, the Bru, they are also called as the Riang, and these are the tribal communities which are living into the northeast into the states such as the Assam, Mizoram, and Tripura. Now, guys, into particularly Tripura, these tribals have been recognized as the particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Now, in terms of their religious faith, certain of these people are the Hindus, but the Brus, particularly of the Mizoram, they have converted to the Christianity over the course of few years. Now, guys, these people are involved into very primitive type of agricultural practices such as the jhoom cultivation, which is also called as the slash and burn, where after the harvest, the land is burnt in order to regain its fertility. But many a times it also leads to the destructive consequences such as forest fires and also kills the much needed microorganisms into the land. However, we'll not be going into this now. So these Riang communities are living into all these areas practicing the Jhoom, but these people have been subjected to a lot of persecution since 1995 when the clash started between the Mizos of Mizoram, which were led by the young Mizo army, and the Bru communities. So, guys, this entire clash was into the Mizoram, and therefore the Brus fled from the Mizoram and settled into the substantial numbers into the Tripura. And now from the Tripura, they are asking for so long that they should be resettled back to the Western Mizoram, and even as autonomous district council should be made into the Western Mizoram under the sixth schedule of the Indian Constitution. But guys, since then the talks have not been successful, and the young Mizo army particularly wants that the Bru people should not be settled back into the Mizoram. And guys, since long in this particular direction, the talks are going between the central government, the government of Tripura, government of Mizoram, and the representatives of the Bru people. And finally, in the January 2020, a framework has been signed between all of them that the Brus will be resettled back to the Tripura. And guys, now coming to the present news item. So here it has been said that yes, they can settle in Tripura, but they cannot settle anywhere wherever they want. So, six places have been marked where the Brus will be settling in Tripura. Moreover, guys, the cap has also been imposed onto the number of families that can live at one particular place. Now, guys, because of this particular limitation and conditionalities, it has been said that it is violating the pact which has been signed earlier. And, guys, there could be a possibility that again a new round of friction could start because of this particular thing. However, guys, you need not to go into the details as which are the places where they are being settled or that kind of thing. However, just keep in mind the controversy that is going into this particular region. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, with the help of this particular article, we will construct the foreign policy of India in 2020. Now, guys, all these premises of India's foreign policy is based on to the statements given by the Minister of External Affairs in past few days on various platforms. Now, guys, starting up. So, it has been said that India is not rejecting the non aligned movement or the non aligned stand, which constituted the principal pillar of India's foreign policy during the Cold War era. But now, guys, into the present times, the dynamics have changed. Though we are not rejecting the NAM, but it is also the reality that it is not the Cold War era, and the NAM has also become the institution of the bygone era. So, therefore, into the present era, multipolar world is the reality, and in this multipolar world, India is ready to take challenges with respect to the maritime security, terrorism, connectivity, and all these kind of issues. So this particular thing shows that India is now the bold power and is not submissive or just sitting into the corner to see how the things will be changing. It will take its own stake into the world affairs. But at the same time, one more thing, India is also not favoring any alliance system such as the Asian NATO or militarization of Quad, etc. And it has also given a subtle warning or just a kind of a reminder to the USA that USA also need to look beyond the alliance system, and India in no way becoming the ally to a kind of a military alliance. Moreover, guys, it is the reality that now again the Cold War 2.0 can begin between the USA as well as the China. And earlier, though non-aligned movement worked for India because earlier the USA and Russia did not share the boundary, but now the contender is China who shares the boundary. So therefore, India also needs to be very careful that what is the positioning of India in this particular regard. Now, guys, this particular elucidation is very careful and is excellently drafted. India has given a subtle message to the USA that USA needs to move away from the alliance, and this particular step will do much to reaffirm the China's confidence into the India and will also prove to work as a booster in solving the crisis going on to the LAC as well as onto the other border tension areas. Now, guys, one more thing here we need to see. See, earlier, Russia, India, China summit held. Their defense minister said that they will be solving the disputes between India and China onto the bilateral terms. And right now, as the US India Business Council summit held yesterday, and a lot of other dialogues also held, here the Minister of External Affairs had said that they don't want US's intervention, and again it has been said that onto the bilateral terms the relation will be solved. And therefore all these developments reflects the matured understanding of India onto the neighborhood relations. It shows that by bringing the external powers into the neighborhood disputes will only be jeopardizing the situation, and this is a much appreciated elucidation which has been carried. Furthermore, guys, see, it has not the case that India is totally shut to make any alliances, because if you remember just 2 days back we had seen that it has been said that India happens to be a middle power and therefore can make the alliances with the other middle powers such as the Japan and the European Union. So guys, the door has been left open here. However, India has denied that it will not be becoming the proxy of the USA against the China. And guys, in this particular way, we can see that the balances on all the ends have been made. So guys, this is all about this particular regard. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, this particular article talks about the worsening relations between the USA as well as China. Now, their relations are turning bad from so many days because of the issues such as the pandemic response, issues on the 5G, etc. But now, what has happened? USA had shut down the China's consulate into the Houston, USA, onto the pretext of the charges that China is involving into economic espionage, visa fraud, and have also attempted theft of scientific research, and all these allegations have been denied by the China. Moreover, into the past few days, USA has also involved in other kind of things also. For example, it has imposed the visa restrictions onto the students, then has imposed the sanctions onto the Chinese officials due to the Hong Kong national security law. And further, it is also thinking that the members of the Communist Party of China should also be banned to enter into the USA. Now, This particular step has been unprecedented between both countries since 1979 when the diplomatic relations were started. Now, guys, the crisis started to begin in 2018 when, onto the trade, tariff, economy, various fronts, the battle started. But now it has been snowballed into a bigger geopolitical contest between the two rising power, that is the USA on one hand and onto the China other hand. Now, this entire is the biggest confrontation that the world is seeing since the Cold War era, and this threatens the world order. Moreover, guys, the USA is very clearly aware that China's present capabilities are such that deliberately, if China wants, then it can cripple the world order which is ruled by the USA. But still, the foreign policies of Donald Trump are such that it is not deterring the USA. And guys, at the same time, the USA's aggressionist policy against China becomes threatening because this is the time when China is also becoming the assertive and is picking up the fights into the neighborhood, such as with the countries such Vietnam, India, etc. And guys, therefore, it has been said into the article that USA's aggressionist policies are not wanted because now the world is characterized by certain phenomena such as the pandemic of the COVID-19, then the bad condition of USA because of pandemic, and third, this is also the stage of the assertive and rising China. So during this time, more matured understanding is needed onto this particular matter. So guys, that's all in this particular regard. Now we'll move to next. Now, friends, this particular article is talking about the Hong Kong national security law. And as of now, we had seen that everyone is criticizing, but in this particular article, it has been said that rather national security law is a good thing which has happened. Why? Because the article has been written by the Sun Wendong, who is China's ambassador to the India. Now, guys, first of all, in 1997, China got the custody of the Hong Kong, and since then, the system of the one country, two system has been started, where the separate autonomy has been given to the Hong Kong. And now, by this national security legislation, the China has got the power that in order to preserve the autonomy as well as to safeguard the national security, it can impose the punishment for the offenses of succession, subversion, organization, and perpetration of terrorist activity, as well as onto the charges of collusion with a foreign country. Now, guys, it has been said that such power was necessary for the China if China wants to preserve the system of the one country two system, because if the national security will not be there, then there will be no two systems, and the criticism of the national security legislation by other country is just unwarranted and based on illogic reasoning. Moreover, further arguments have also been given in favor of the national security legislation. First of all, it has been said that the National People's Congress and its standing committee has framed the law in consonance with the basic law of the Hong Kong, and therefore the due process of law has been used here, and therefore the legislation is not wrong. Secondly, guys, it has been said that as the law states that the terrorism subversion related activities will be curbed, it will only be ensuring the prolonged safety of the citizens of the Hong Kong, and therefore it is beneficial for the people. Thirdly, guys, it has been said that the no rights will be taken because clearly the criminal offenses which will be arrested has been written into the national security legislation. So the issues that the rights will be taken is wrong because the process of the law will be followed in these circumstances. Fourthly, guys, it has been said that the mainstream people are also into the favor of the national security law because more than 3 million people have signed a petition that they support, and even more than 1.3 million people have also signed an online petition where they say that they are not liking the USA's interference into the Hong Kong related matters. So, guys, people are in favor of the China. And fifthly, it has been said that around the constitutions of other countries also it has been written that national security is the domain of the sovereign power. And by using the sovereign power of China, China had taken the issue of national security. And guys, there could be one more point. See, all the countries it has been said that the rights of the citizens are subjected to the national security, safety, as well as secure sovereignty. And therefore, it has been said that even if the rights will be taken, they could be compromised onto the basics of the national security. So nothing wrong has been carried by the China into the Hong Kong. But guys, moving little bit beyond this particular article, there have been wrongs which has been done. First of all, guys, because of the China's action, now the Hong Kong has lost the tag of the freest city state of the world, and even the GDP of the Hong Kong has will now be registering the negative growth rate, which has been unprecedented. Thirdly, guys, the special status given by the USA to the Hong Kong has also been snatched, and guys, by these kind of ways a lot of concessions have been snatched. Moreover, this is not the first time that the China has interfered. Rather, guys, earlier also various reforms were promised to the Hong Kong. For example, the election onto the basis of the universal adult franchise for the post of the chief executive of Hong Kong, but till now they have not been carried. And now, this particular law is only aimed to arrest the political dissenters who don't chant the narrative or the prerogative of the mainstream China's government. But guys, still one bright side we had seen on this particular law. If it comes into the question, please consider these things also. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, this particular article talks about a deepening between the India South Korea ties. See, guys, into the past few years, there have been a large number of converging points between the India and South Korea, but still, the relation have not been reached up to its optimum limit. Even till now, the economic relations between both the countries are stuck just at $22 billion of bilateral trade. Moreover, even onto the strategic terms, a large number of deals have been signed, but the kind of execution is only with respect to the sale and purchase of the weapon, and no strategic input such as a technology transfer, etc., has traveled from South Korea to India or India to South Korea. And this is the condition when a large number of initiatives between both the countries have been started. For example, India runs the Act East policy, under which it specifically focuses onto the East Asian economies, and there South Korea happens to be a major focus. Moreover, guys, the values of Buddhism, etc., have also been instituted, and from the South Korea's side, the new Southern policy has been started, and this new Southern policy is centered towards the India. So, guys, we can see that much efforts are being taken, but the reality is that still nothing substantial improvement into the relation has been seen. Now, guys, in enhancing the relation, this article focuses that how people to people ties are needed to be enhanced, because until and unless people will not feel inclined towards each other, much needed bilateral investment, etc., will not be coming to the India. Now, guys, it has been said that in both the countries there are large number of stereotypes which are driving the relation. For example, South Korean thinks that India is a country which is characterized by poverty, ignorance, hunger, etc., whereas the Indians have also failed to appreciate the cultures of the South Korean, and often even failed to physically distinguish between the Japanese, Chinese, Koreans, etc. And therefore, guys, both the countries have a kind of a cultural dissonance or a cultural ignorance with respect to each other, and this thing is needed to be solved, because until and unless a kind of a mutual respect and admiration towards each other's culture will come, guys, the much needed impetus will not be coming. And guys, onto the cultural dimension, already Indian Culture Center has been established into the Seoul, South Korea, but till now it has been said that it has not brought any substantial benefit, because somehow the approach of ICC needs to be reformed. Guys, first of all, ICC has just become the forum of the diplomatic exchange of the cultural values, but only the diplomatic exchange will not work, as the reach will be then very much limited. And therefore, in this particular direction, Indian Culture Center is now reaching the broad based population. For example, it is now teaching the South Indian dances to elementary school students, also conducting the experiential session with respect to the Indian cuisine, etc. But guys, in this particular initiative, there is also a problem, as only the English speaking urban population as well as the young students can be involved into these activities. Therefore, it is now the need that the Indian Culture Center should reach to the pockets of the people who are living into the rural areas, not know the English, and all such kind of things. And into the same direction, in India also, the South Korean Center onto the culture should be made very much operational, which can teach the South Korean values to the Indian population so that the cultural gaps can be plugged up. And guys, by focusing on this particular vertical, much needed respite into the relations can come. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, just this news we can take as a reference into the India-Israel relation. So, the kind of a medical diplomacy or the health diplomacy has been begun between the India and Israel has promised that they will be assisting India to develop the rapid testing for the COVID-19, which could be conducted within 30 seconds. Moreover, guys, specially designed mechanical ventilators will also be provided to India, which are being given on a special permission. And finally, after that, other technologies for bringing the breakthrough into the COVID-19 treatment will also be provided by the Israel. So, guys, from the very start, as the pandemic of COVID-19 began, India and Israel are in talks as how the adequate medical response can be given, which we call as the medical diplomacy. Moreover, guys, further it has been said that some other new technologies are being developed onto this particular line, and this we can also use in some other open-ended question with respect to the innovation into the medical realms also. So, guys, Israel will be providing us the three technologies for the COVID-19 diagnostics. First is the artificial intelligence based online voice test. Then the second one is the breath analyzer test, and the third one is the isothermal testing and the testing using the polyamino acids. Now, talking about them, the AI based voice test means, guys, that when a person is infected with COVID-19, there are certain distortions into the vocal cord, and those distortions can be caught by this particular test and can tell the result. Then, into the isothermal testing and polyamino acid, by taking the saliva sample of a person, it could be concluded whether a person is COVID-19 positive or not. And into the breath analyzer test, the breath is seen whether it is containing the viral load or not. So, guys, by using these technologies, a breakthrough into the diagnostic can be achieved. And here, the Israel is turning out to be active partner to India. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, here we can see that China has launched a Mars mission. Now, guys, this Mars mission has been launched from the Hainan island, which is located towards the south of China. And now, the probe which has been launched, its name is the Tianwen 1, which means the quest for the heaven. And the rocket which has carried the probe is called as the Long March 5. Now, guys, this entire probe has three elements. One is the orbiter, other is the lander, and the third is the rover. Now, if you remember, just a couple of days back, we had seen the Hope mission, which was launched by the UAE onto the Mars. Now, guys, the Hope of the UAE, which was launched from the Japan, it is an orbiter, will only be orbiting around the Mars, whereas the China's mission is also containing the rover and the lander. It means that it will actually land onto the Mars surface, and upon reaching there, it will be searching for the underground water as well as on about the evidences of the life onto the Martian planet, and will see whether the atmosphere and the soil structure is such that it can sustain the plant life, animal life. Now, friends, first of all, this is not the first time when the China is trying. Earlier in 2011 also, from the Kazakhstan, and in collaboration with the Russia. China also tried, but at that time the probe or the mission was failed, and now this is the high hope that it will ultimately be landing onto the Mars, and China will be reaching onto the stage where the USA has reached. Moreover, guys, these are the two missions which we had seen, and now the third mission will also be launched by the USA into the next week, which is called as the Perseverance. Now guys, in this particular year we will see three Mars missions, because this is the year when the orbital distance between the Mars and Earth is very much less, and therefore the countries are aiming to make a flight onto the Mars within this short span. Further, guys, the China's mission onto the Mars, it will take 7 months to reach the Mars, and from then it will carry its scientific observation. Now, friends, orbiting the Mars is one thing, and landing a rover onto the Mars is very difficult. And it is the America only which had successfully landed a mission onto the Mars for 8 times since 1979. So friends, that's all about this particular issue, and now we'll move to next. Now friends, with respect to the GS paper number 3, economic reforms, a very good reform has been taken into the credit market of India. Now see, in India there is a problem that there is no virtual or online platform where the lenders of money as well as borrowers of money can come together so that they can carry on their transaction. And in this particular direction, the open credit enabled network has been made, where the lenders such as the banks and NBFCs will be coming together, and on the borrowers such as the MSMEs will be coming, and they can transact the loans here. Now guys, the fintechs or the financial technology companies will also be involved, as they will provide the technological assistance with respect to the running of this particular platform. Now guys, further, if you see, then there are nearly 63 million MSMEs in India, which account for 45% of manufacturing output and 40% of export, and along with it, it also contributes to nearly 28% of the GDP and employ 11 million people. But they don't have avenue for the borrowing of the money, and in that particular direction, the OCEN will be playing an important role. So guys, just for the reference, you can use this particular initiative when the question onto the liberalization of the financial market comes. So that's it guys, and now we'll move to the question section. Now guys, please pause the video and answer the question. So first question is with respect to the National Clean Air Program. Please identify the correct code. Now question number 2 is with respect to the Lonar Lake. Please guys read it and identify the correct code. Now question number 3 is with respect to the Madhubani paintings. Please read it and identify the correct code. Now guys, question number 4 is with respect to the polity. Please read this statement and identify the correct code. Now guys, today's question is from GS paper number 2, Foreign Policy of India. So question says that it is clear that India neither rejects non-alignment in its entirety nor embraces it wholeheartedly. Do you find it as a strategic mistake or strategic move? Comment. So guys, this is a 10 marker question and it happens to be a little bit open ended. Please answer it, and into tomorrow's class we will see the framework for this particular question. Friends, I hope you are liking our initiative. Thank you so much.